Hello people of the web and welcome back to the Lyfcraft server. Today we're doing something a little bit different. This is episode number 50 and so I thought it would be a perfect time to look back over my season so far at what we've achieved. It'll also give me something to show my parents and see if they're finally proud of me. Only joking, they don't care about Minecraft. I joined the server in September 2019 alongside Hushbug, a friend of mine who I've played Minecraft with for a few years now. And we logged on without any other server members being here at night, which was very scary, and there wasn't many trees around that I felt comfortable with breaking because spawn was already well established. With the server being up for nearly 9 months by the time we joined, most of the trees were custom ones, like this. But eventually I found one that I was willing to punch down and built some basic tools, and we got cracking on our first base very quickly. You see, I'd actually been planning ahead of joining the server and designed this little tent thing, which was initially supposed to be built here for the first few days or couple episodes and be moved around the server and planted in different people's bases on their front lawns so that I could do a little bit of collaborating and get to know the members. However, we were a little bit quicker at getting our stuff together for our main base than I was ever expecting. So this has been here since day one, and I dare say the grass underneath my tent is now very dead. And even while building this, it became apparent very quickly that I would need more storage than I could fit in this little tent, especially as this bit was going to be torn down occasionally, so we built a little basement underneath for storage of lots of items. And this came about very quickly and easily, but lasted a while and used for longer than I'd like to admit. Though some of these probably still have plenty of bits in. Yep. My big goal for the season was to make everything without mining for resources. This meant diamonds, redstone, lapis, iron and coal ores would all be off limits. Now I could break them with Silk Touch obviously, but I didn't want the resources from them. Now this was partly inspired by our recent Skyblock series and further cemented by joining a server where there was already many areas that had been strip mined and didn't want to tread on other people's toes. So a fun challenge. And by the end of episode 1 I'd actually secured 2 zombie villagers already, and episode 2 was all about building this villager breeder, which supplied me with plenty of villagers, so much so that we got all the resources we needed for our big dig and main base. I think by the end of episode 2 we had most of the stuff, and this hallway is to thank for it, because all of our villagers ended up in here and I was trading away junk for emeralds and became the recycler of the server, taking in rotten flesh, raw cod, string, sticks, anything I could sell for emeralds, and then trade those emeralds for my diamond armor and tools and everything I could need. Oh, and quartz. Lots of quartz. If you've been following my series, you'll know why I say lots of quartz. My main base is just over that way, and this rail line of course wasn't here to start with, but we can follow it to the base, and I'm really happy with how this rail line came out. Fairly recent addition to the server. And this would be my base, this little dome here. And from inside the dome you really get a sense of scale as to how much work we've done. The level of the floor of the ocean was basically where that quartz is, and we built the dome, cleared out all the water, and then started digging down, and we ended up with this rather large barrel shaped room, which is the main hub for my base, and has a custom tree in it built by JT and Bex, who are incredibly talented, and if you haven't checked out their stuff, you really should. There's a link in the description. I would however appreciate it if you waited until after you finished watching this episode to then check them out. But once it's finished, go check them out. The idea behind my base is to have different wings themed around different farms or things that I might need. So the yellow wing, for example, is residential and has our nether portal, storage area and apartments. This would be a fully automatic sorting system designed by Tangotech. Link should be in the description. If not, feel free to yell at me in the comment section. Then we have apartments, Hushbug's and mine. We both built our own apartments, completely independent of each other, and I went for this, which is a very kind of warm, homely feel, and not within my normal build style. I wanted to challenge myself. And similarly, Hushbug, who normally builds with lots of woods and earthly textures, wanted to build modern, and so she actually incorporated the blocks from the rest of the base in here, which has turned out pretty well, even if it does have diorite in it and is missing a bit of carpet. I probably broke that, so let's move out before anyone notices. Oh, and finally, the last two things in the yellow wing would be my nether wart farm. Not because it's particularly needed often, just I figured it would be handy to have nether wart and potion brewing near my apartments and near the nether in case we need to grab some fire resistance. And there was nowhere else that it fitted into better. An excuse to build something in the yellow wing. Seeing as we started in yellow, we might as well go clockwise. Blue wing is the first one where you find lots of villagers, which are found throughout the base, and my main source of emeralds, which are very important to me, because without these emeralds, I couldn't buy the resources I would need to build this base, especially quartz, which comes from these guys. Yes, please. Yes, please. We'll stock up. Now, the iron farm is a fairly basic design and one that hasn't been finished yet. For a long time, this room looked very unfinished, and I've started decorating the walls this weekend, and hope to get it done in the next couple streams, maybe. Of which, twitch.tv/ZactheDragon. The last farm in Blue Wing is the slime farm, which has this long hallway full of chests on one side, which I'm slowly filling up with slime blocks. And we have 4 chunks in a row, all spawn slimes. Come on cue. You're supposed to spawn a slime. The balls get collected by hopper minecarts and sent into these water streams into the chests at the far end. And it produces a reasonable rate. It's not amazing, but it's pretty decent. Now, we could have made it more efficient by building more layers to it, rather than just having the bottom one. But it's efficient enough for me, and I quite like the design. So, why make it more efficient when it already produces more than I will use ever? Following on from the blue wing is probably my favourite wing, the red one, just because of the farms in it I'm particularly proud of. So we have a gunpowder farm on this side, or I should say a creeper farm, which is a fraction of the size I originally intended it to be, because it's in modules, and I built 2 modules and was already getting more gunpowder than I could use. So we have a backlog of gunpowder. And then, of course, if you're going to have gunpowder, you want sugarcane to make paper and rockets. And I'm always going to be in the air, because that's a mango, or an ill mango design, which is very efficient. And somehow being left on... Oh, I'm missing 2 repeaters, which would have burned under lava. I'll fix that later. Also in the red wing is all of my librarians. Now, we don't have every trade that we might need, but we have all the ones that I particularly care for. And of course, there are some that we didn't need a villager for because, well, looting 3, sea aqua affinity, which means if we head over here, this guy will have looting 3. I have all the stuff I need. If there's anything else that I wanted, I could technically reroll villagers until I get it. Oh, and clerics. Very important clerics. This is where I get redstone, seeing as I don't mind redstone ore. Plus an enchanting table I've never used. And then on the left at the end of the tunnel is my disc farm. We have a diversion option, or a divert option for the creeper farm, sending them down here, and they can get shot by a skeleton, which is fun to watch, plus gives us plenty of music discs. Some of them are actually quite good. I forget which ones I like though, so I'm not going to recommend one. Just go listen to them all. Opposite the creeper farm, we have my generic mob farm, which has this rather large lobby area and a nice viewing window for when loads of mobs get flushed down. And part of the reason for this lobby being so big is because I wanted to have that as a viewing window, and the other part is because we have silos going down the room. So we have gunpowder, string, okay, that's a reasonable flush. Rotten flesh, string, all the other bits and pieces you get from a mob farm, witch drops, and this little window here is for my overflow protection, which gets used because, as you can see, we have more gunpowder than we can store, and that silo stores about 50,000 gunpowder, which means excess can get thrown into lava. It's very satisfying pulling that lever. And also shows how much we have excess. The final wing would be the green one, which is built around agriculture. So we have bamboo and cactus. The cactus farms all flow into a water stream and get carried along over here to the silo room. This is where the storage for all of my farms goes, or all my agricultural farms, and we have plenty of potatoes, carrots and lots of other things. The idea being that anything that's full, the overflow goes into a composter, and we end up with plenty of bone meal. And villagers to trade with, as you would have. Now, some of the silos are more full than others, but we haven't had any shortage of things, let's put it that way. Then we have carrot, potato, wheat and beetroot farms, all of which are fairly standard designs. These are actually my own designs, but I think they'll probably be nearly identical to many other people's designs as well. Then we have a 2-tool flower farm, of which we can get wonderful roses. And if you're asking the question, who will buy my wonderful roses? I have a shop for that, which we will get to later. Pumpkin and melon farm, which is currently turned off, partly because we have lots of items and lots of pumpkin and melon, and partly because it's kind of loud and I was working in the area recently. Cocoa bean farm, with a single button to harvest them all. It's a manual planting, but unfortunately there's no real way to fully automate it. Mushroom farm. So we have this beauty over here, where mushrooms will spread to either side, and as soon as they do, the observer notices, and there's a piston that pulls back the podzol, breaking off the mushroom, and then puts the podzol back, and a hopper minecart comes along and collects the mushrooms. It's not a particularly fast farm, because mushrooms are very slow at growing, but it's fully automatic, and I like it. Then we have these rooms, which are for my giant mushrooms. If I grab that and that, we can place you there and bone meal you. Hey, first time. Which allows me to collect these beautiful blocks you get from giant mushrooms, of which I really should use more often, because the brown texture on this is just subtle enough to be not distracting, but also not too plain. Of course, as with most of the areas in my base, we have sorting systems for things. So I can just throw these blocks in here and they'll get put in the right chests. Just put the bone meal in there manually. Opposite the giant mushroom farm and regular mushroom farm, I suppose, we have the honey farm, which normally has plenty of bees buzzing around. However, it's probably their sleep time. They're in there, I promise. And it produces a reasonable amount of honey and honeycomb. In fact, we built this only recently, last couple episodes. This would be the service area for where I can put in my shears or glass bottles, depending on what we want, whether it's honeycombs or honey bottles. Close that door because that's maintenance really, doesn't want to be open all the time. And then of course we have one last area down the green wing. And that last farm in the green wing would be my kelp farm. This is a design that I'm very proud of. I designed it as a modular farm so that I could extend the tunnel as long as I needed it to be, because this actually goes somewhere. Because at the end of this tunnel we have a double cave spider spawner, or double cave spider spawner grinder, whatever it's called, which was fun to build, and the first time I played with cave spiders for quite a while, and I don't really use this farm. It works very well, as you can probably tell. However, I rarely need XP. With villagers being about the base, it's quite easy to just trade for XP, and rarely short on the stuff. But did give me an excuse to play with the cave spiders and build this tunnel, which I'm really happy with. And it's, of course, fully automatic for harvesting. However, if I press this button, it's a manual harvest, which is just kind of satisfying, especially when you watch all the kelp flow in. And it fills up those furnaces. Now, pretty much all of my base is underground, the only exception being the mob farm, which technically goes above ground, but to cover it up, I built an island. So if we head up these stairs, you'll find that there's a semi-man-made sand island to allow me maximum height to have as many layers as possible and an efficient farm. Oh great, it's raining. Typical. So this little island is man-made, and then did a little bit of landscaping around it to make it look natural-ish. And on top of the island is a little beach house built by Bex, of JT and Bex again. Then this ship was built by Karis, another member of the server, link in description, who built this in return for a giant cat that I built in her base. And it fits rather well. Then we have the slime farm that we were looking at earlier, which looks glorious from over here, and the main dome. Some builds are pretty, and some builds are purely aesthetic. Pretty build, Karis's base. Right, I did help with that base, but I can't claim it as my own. It's her design, I just helped put it together. But over these hills we have my flower farms, which supply my shop. I believe it's just over here. Yep, I found it. And these produce plenty of pretty flowers. In fact, it's still filtering in from when I had it last time I was here. I just might as well take these. And of course, looking at the flower farm, it reminds me that I forgot to show you one room in the base, which we will quickly smash cut to. You see, this room that I showed you earlier doesn't just have the silos for the farms in this wing, but also upstairs, and where the balcony is for, we have a little storage room for all of my flowers, of which some of them we have plenty and others a little bit lacking. But this is just a quick way for me to grab stock for when I need them at the shop. We might as well head there next. Though, input chest. And that's how I sort things. Just throw it in a chest and let the system do its work. Oddly enough, my video clip for this section corrupted itself. I have the audio working for it, but not the video. So I came into the Nether and I decided that I might as well do a little detour and show you my gold farm. Now, this entire area was dug out well before I joined the server, and it means, of course, there's very few spawnable spaces within range of the Nether hub. So anyone that's in here could load a farm underneath, producing plenty of pigmen and a little bit of gold for me. So if we head down here via my very, very janky access, but it works. Ouch. Elytra activating would be handy. If we head down this way, down a very boring tunnel, we come to my gold farm. Which, as you can tell, works fairly well. It's all based around having turtle eggs in the middle and lots of spawning platforms for pigmen to try and get to the eggs. Of course they take a little bit of fall damage, but mostly finished off with the roses. And of course I get to spawn when it's nighttime, which is not a good idea because I spend most of my time underground. I don't tend to think about sleeping. So, handily for me, there's a bed at spawn that I can use. However, this is the source of a lot of confusion when unfortunate incidents happen and I die and end up spawning here, which is not near any of my stuff anymore. When we spawned in, the trees that we cut down to get our first bit of wood were basically where my shop is. This is my quartz shop, a resource that I farm plenty of it because I need it for the base, and try and build an excess amount so that, well, I always have enough for when I need to borrow some from the shop, I can. Then we have my flower shop, which is actually a really nice design. I love how this came out, and it's a lot more interior decorating than I'm used to doing, and this may look simple to many of you, but it's different. I make square boxes, not boxes with extra boxes on the back and furniture. I think it came out. What are you? Rude. Apparently spawn is not safe. There. I was trying to show the guys my third shop. So we have the two big ones, and then at the back we have the brick house, which is based on an outside toilet. If you get the joke, well done. 4 stacks per diamond. Very good price. If you know anyone that needs some on the server, remember, put it in their comment section. And while there are many other things that I've worked on the server, they've been collaborative things, which, you know, I don't know how much they count as mine to show off and how much they count as other people's. So go check out the full series if you want to see what I've built. But this is a good summary of most of the stuff, especially the stuff in the base. If you liked the video, please hit that button, subscribe for more of my content, and I hope to see you next time. Thank you very much for watching. Bye bye now. My first video of PC Minecraft was to serve as a lasting record of a build. This video is very much for the same reason, but I realised that while I'm still very small compared to many creators, I've grown and developed, and so has the community around me, far beyond anything I could have imagined. Thank you.